Good morning, good morning, good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers and another episode of why certain neurotypicals, usually the conservatives, provide an endless stream of amusement when they're not being hostile. So, we got individuals freaking out on Twitter over the first almost fully automatic McDonald's, saying, "Look, this is the consequences of your actions for demanding living wages." First of all, Republicans, hear me out on this. Quit your current corporate job. Go work at McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell. Then try to also at the same time maintain an apartment, electricity, groceries, pay for your kids. And tell me if the current minimum wage is something that anybody is actually able to live on and be able to still cover all your bills. Okay? Just say it. Number two, if you think this is the consequences of inflation, again, I have beachfront property in Kansas I can sell you. Fact of the matter is, fast food has been going this way since the inception of fast food. It is literally based off the assembly process at the original McDonald's adopted from the Ford Motor Company. Okay? It's literally designed, when the technology gets up to it, to become automated. I've worked in fast food. I know this for a fact. But most of you don't know, who've never been behind that little counter there, it's the majority of the stuff is already automated and has been since the early 2000s. There is very actual little that the individual does, but it still works because you still basically got to assemble and put everything together. But that's it, though. Pretty much everything else is the machines. Your job is to act like a human assembly machine and clean. Okay? It is already built in such a manner that when technology catches up, it's not really any great shock to me that it will become fully automated. This is not the consequences of people demanding living wages. This is technology. There's a difference. Why are certain individuals so angry at those of us who do live paycheck to paycheck, asking that we be able to receive a living wage for the work that we put in? That is something I've never understood. Unskilled labor, as you all call it, is some of the hardest working individuals you will come across. They are working way more hours a week than you do, for way less than you do. And yeah, one wants a living wage for the work that they put in. It is not the worst thing on the planet. We would like to be able to afford rent and to feed ourselves, Karen. Sit down. And what I've always noticed is the individuals who complain about this the most are some of the most entitled, unhealthy, kind of unhinged individuals you can find the displeasure of meeting. Because they don't care about anyone else as long as they can get theirs. And they have this bizarre idea that somehow me or you making an actual living wage somehow hurts them in some way. I'm so sorry, Karen, that you have to pay your employees a living wage. But you're always replaceable is eventually not going to work anymore. Okay? People deserve living wages, proper insurance, and ways to be able to feed and house themselves and their kids without living beneath the poverty line and wondering when they are going to be just one paycheck short of ending up out on the street. Our current minimum wage makes it impossible for many of these individuals who work in those sorts of jobs to live independently. It's not because we're just living off our parents, it's because you gave us no choice. Okay? Unless you are somehow able to work your way up in a fast food chain to where you can become assistant or general manager, it is not the type of work that you're going to be able to do to be able to maintain a life. Just a single life. I'm not talking about individuals who have kids here. I'm just talking about myself. All right? Your arguments are dumb. And for the love of God, fast foods becoming automated and machine ran is literally built into the system already. Okay? Assembly lines are perfect setup for when the right technologies to come along to employ those. Okay? Sometimes. And for those individuals who are sitting there and saying, yay, yay, I bring you to us poor call center jockeys who don't get treated much better than the fast food workers. These individuals gripe and scream over dealing with automated systems. The same individuals who are sitting there saying, see, technology is taking your jobs because you want a living wage. Yet you're also the Karen who bitches and complains and complains and bitches when you have to deal with the automated system over the phone. Sorry, not sorry. People deserve to be paid for the work that they do. They deserve to be paid properly. They deserve to be paid a living wage where they can take care of themselves and their families without the fear of being homeless. I know that's a horrible concept for some of you Republicans out there to swallow, but please go with me here. Okay? And if the problem is because I'm getting a living wage that companies are jacking the food prices, maybe you should be talking to their corporations and not shitting on the low-level workers who are just trying to make it. But anyways, to the disclaimers, right? In the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. They're written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification programs. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. So, folks, you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also linked in there is NeuroClassic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the DRC actually sees through with their threat. Also linked in there, the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school / Stone for Help boarding school situation. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens, that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another, a doctor who still lived on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy trying to defund libraries and chase after drag queens to do his job, and you've got a governor that needs send help. Just send help and share that article on all your social media. We got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masamba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please go ahead and use those headphones, all right? Should be self-explanatory at this point. All right. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We very obviously use profanity on occasion, and we do speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they're watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. Trigger warning. We are about to once again descend into mad ravings, the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, pseudoscience, lies, abuse and torture apologencia, and all coming from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So, folks, prepare yourselves for the special level of condescending, willfully ignorant utterings of a madman, okay? So, where we left off last time. For behaviors such as getting out of their seats, making noises, swearing, or not following staff directions, all which can actually be found in the description box in the link that takes you to Jennifer Masamba's behavioral contractual sheet. It will show you what all those shockable offenses are, and it's not what Dr. Matthew Israel is telling you. That's that thing about my community. We have receipts. We never just speak out of ignorance, folks, because we are unjustly enraged about something. We're not a bunch of parading Karens. We always have receipts to back us up. Always. But let's go on here. The behavior of getting out of one's seat has been treated with the GED at the JRC only if the bolting out of one's seat is consistent to an antecedent of violent aggression, and only if the positive procedures alone have been insufficiently effective in treating the behavior. Let me stop you, doctor. Tell me, how do you and the staff specifically know if an individual getting up out of their seat is either going to have an aggressive reaction or really just needs to use the bathroom? You don't, unless you're a mind reader, and I'm pretty sure that you're not. So, because of this, what you do is if they get out of their seat, period, you shock them, using this as your justification, which doesn't work because logic dictates, unless you are a mind reader, that you do not know why that student is getting up out of their seat. You have no idea whether this is an antecedent of an aggressive behavior or whether they have to bolt to do number 2. You don't. You're not psychic. Okay? Which means your justification is beyond paper thin. and does not make any logical, coherent sense to anybody else inside the field or outside of it. But let's read on here. A specific example of data is described in item 8 above in this section. Again, doctor, you can't use the data that you created, which is not peer-reviewed. And no, doctor, having a bunch of doctors whose paychecks that you pay agree with you is not peer-reviewed, and use it to cite as evidence, because you have an inherent bias. You have a dog in the fight. You have every reason to obscure that data in your favor because literally your livelihood depends on it. Therefore, is about all the same use as that toilet paper back there, except the difference is at least the paper back there cleans my butt. Okay? However, extremely disruptive, loud, or telling or screaming that is not responsive to positive-only procedures and causing harm to the student and preventing educational activities may be treated with skin shock. But that's not what you're doing, doctor. You are shocking them for simply getting out of their seat. Again, let me explain it to you like you're a 5-year-old. You have no idea why that student is getting out of their seat. You can argue that me getting out of the bed in the morning is antecedent to a violent behavior, because individuals who have violent behavior have to get out of their beds in the morning. Doesn't make sense, does it? Because you're not psychic. You don't know why that individual is getting up out of their seat. Therefore, to shock them because it might possibly be they're getting up to be aggressive is stupid. You're consequenting them for something that has literally not happened because of what you assume. And you know what they say about assumptions, don't you, doctor? They make an ass out of you and me. Ordinary swearing is not treated with the GED skin shock. That's a lie. If you look at Jennifer Masamba's behavioral sheet, you will see quite clearly that yes, indeed, even general swearing is used as a means to shock someone. That, sir, is a bald-faced lie. Let's see here. However, if swearing in a particular individual case is antecedent to aggression, and if cannot be treated by effective positive-only procedures alone, those positive procedures may be supplemented with a behavior skin shock aversive. Again, doctor. Thought crimes. An individual can say the word, excuse me for those who don't like my coarse language, you can say the word fuck. The word fuck can be used in many different ways. It can be a part of fuck yeah, or you fucking go, or fuck yes. It can also be a part of derision, like, oh my fucking god. Well, fucking shit. Ah, fuck, here we go again. Or it can be a pseudo-aggressive, well, fuck you. One word. One swear word. When used, can have billions of different contexts. You don't know if the person is using the swear word to become intentionally aggressive or not. They literally get out the word fuck and you're already shocking them. This is not playing games here, doctor. This is literal reality. Many people of us whose speech is peppered with explicitives, like moi, in particular those of us who grow up as army brats, use swear words in multiple contexts all day, every day. You are saying because this individual has used a swear word in context of becoming previously aggressive, that means every time they use a swear word, you're allowed to shock them, regardless of the context in which the swear word is being used at the time. Again, doctor, it's paper thin. It doesn't work. Okay? Now let's put in context here. Let's take your neurotypical teenager. And as a girl who's gone to high school, I can tell you, if you think that high school teenagers, neurotypicals, are not swearing up a storm, again, I got beachfront property in Kansas, premium going for bottom rates. They use it as a context of being aggressive or in all the other ways that I just previously shown. So tell me, because they have used it in aggressive context in the past, are you going to use that as a means to convince their parents that they need to be put on the GED? Of course not. But then again, we are talking about those double standards again, where autistics and otherwise people with neurodiverse and other developmental disabilities are not allowed to be human. Okay? And we're going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.